season 2, they're definitely going to have him come back and direct some, because why not? So that would definitely leave it open for him to be able to come back as a character too, because he's already going to be hanging out. That makes sense. And because he enjoys it, you know what I mean? Like, if he didn't have fun being Riker, then he probably wouldn't even have come back and directed, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys at the George Takei panel at C2E2?
Yes.
I was.
Yes.
Didn't he hint at something there?
Oh,
I know that's a little off topic, but I mean, he hinted at him doing something Star Trek again, didn't he?
Well, he said that he would. I don't think that he said that he is going to. That
he said something to the effect of we may see,
yeah.
And then it kind of like left it like there, and I was just like, wait a minute, what's in the works here?
Like
this kind of also felt like that too,
right,
like
yeah.
maybe not even in this show,
yeah,
maybe in some crazy movie that they have planned. I mean, talking about getting me fired up, like if you're thinking about bringing a movie to the big screen with surviving people from original series and Next Gen and Voyager, I mean, obviously I'll be there opening night and the next night and the next night, but that's the second kind of like hint that I've seen that these aren't the one and done kind of characters.
Right. I mean, you know what? I would, if I was a betting woman, I would put money down that Riker would come back in season 2. I don't think we'll see him again this season. I could be wrong, but I think if they leave season 1 on a big cliffhanger, which we all seem to kind of feel like that's probably what's going to happen, and if season 2 maybe is the resolution or maybe the partial resolution of that cliffhanger, certainly, as you mentioned, Steve, Riker says, I'm still, on reserve duty. I could come back. We could absolutely have an episode in season 2 with Riker once again commanding a ship, and he has a crew. I mean, could we then maybe see a Geordi LaForge cameo or a Worf even? Who knows? I mean, that might be where we see it again. That's just my opinion, though. I mean,
Geordi LaForge is part of the story somewhat, right? Because he was in the preview comics.
Yes, he was in the preview comics. He is mentioned as being in charge of, if I'm not mistaken, Utopia Planitia when the Mars attack. It's a movie. When the Mars attack happens.
And there was confirmation that he survived that somewhere, I read.
It was in the beginning episodes of Picard where Picard's oh gosh.
That's right. His two right.
The two Romulans who live with them, I'm blanking on their names. Zhaban is the husband's name. He says, why not ask Riker or Worf or LaForge? He mentions LaForge, and if he was dead, and he said, why not ask LaForge? I'm sure Picard would be like, he's a corpse, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
And there's been no hint that LaForge is part of the series at all, right? LeVar Burton or anything?
No, to my knowledge, no.
The only thing that I would say is that in that interview, Patrick Stewart was like, "Oh, we'll probably see all of our old friends here or there," and I was like, "Oh,
okay."
That's so different from how he wanted the series to be, but because there's so many other layers and parts to the series, it's different.
Yeah,
he's totally up for having return characters.
Well, we also saw how he quite publicly went on The View and told Whoopi Goldberg that he and the producers were inviting her back for season 2 to play Guinan. So, I mean...
Yes.
Certainly.
Sorry, that was a little giddy.
Well, Steve is having a little schoolgirl moment over there, but that's okay.
Okay.
We're just fanning out. That's fine.
Full disclosure, everyone. While we were at this con...
wait, what are you going to say?
Oh, no, trust. It's G. We were
Okay.
we were sitting around in the lobby of the hotel talking, and I was sitting next to Steven for a while talking to him about stuff, and he's like, yeah, I definitely want to do a guided episode at one point. And it's like, okay.
No, I think I remember that differently. I think I remember two people discussing Picard cast and having nothing to do with the conversation, then me just running over and interjecting myself and yelling,
Yeah.
I am definitely on the guided episode no matter what.
That is.
I think it was you and number one Neil just having a private discussion off to yourself.
It was actually because Neil was on the other side of me, yes. I had been talking to Steven. I didn't want it to seem like he was just forcing himself in there.
I absolutely forced myself in that situation. There was zero consent, but I hope there's consent now.
No, yeah,
Steve,
we're totally
I applaud your honesty here. We're just owning it, saying, no, I shoved my way into this conversation.
If I hear the Guinan and Q, that's it. I just get excited.
Yeah.
As you obviously heard.
I love a good Q episode myself, so absolutely. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, okay. So, Riker cooking dinner in the kitchen. So he sees Picard, and then he also realizes that Picard's in trouble. And I really love this moment where he's like, "Shields up!" That was very Commander Riker. Like,
yes.
We all think back to like every TNG episode where it's like, Worf is act tactical on the horseshoe, and he's like, "Commander, Romulans decloaking to the port bow. Red alert! Shields up!" Like he's in that Riker voice that he has. So it was, again, he was like, "Shields up! Scan the perimeter. Anti-cloaking scans." Like he's he's in command. It was absolutely great.
I appreciate that whenever Picard comes in, he was it right when he came in, or was it right before when he was trying to figure out what was happening outside? He basically asked Alexa to stop playing the music.
Yes, pause music. Alexa, pause music. So then, basically, Picard's, Troy comes in and she says, I told Kestra to show Soji where the showers are. And she says, she's completely traumatized, but I can't read anything off of her. Like she seems to be having emotions, but I can't read her. And then Picard says, I've lost my crew. I only have half a plan now. I have to try to figure something out. And they say, you could stay here as long as you want to, as long as you need to. And then Kestra comes in, this to me was interesting because this is definitely Riker and his family are like living off the land, because Kestra is like killing local wildlife, and she's skinning them so that they can eat the meat. And like it doesn't seem like they use replicators. Like they're cooking real food, which is something that oftentimes you don't see in Star Trek because everybody's got a replicator. And she comes in with a bunny corn. And Riker says that the pizza will have bunny corn sausage. So when she hands him
it apparently have some sort of venom sacs.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's because Troy asked her, "Did you remove the venom sacs?"
And she gets all like sarcastic. No, I just thought that what did she say? Like spew something. Some black.
Yeah, that we could just spew black vile at each other or whatever. Yeah. Very teenage answer. Yes.
Oh, I couldn't help but think once, when you realize that they're eating real food, it was like the time that he was trying to make eggs. He was making eggs for everybody.
That's right.
And they're like, where did you get these eggs?
Yes. And at the egg, and then of course everybody was like, "Ugh, these taste gross," except for Worf, who polished off everything on his plate, and he was like, "Delicious." But then Riker's like, "Oh, a chef is only as good as his ingredients," and I guess they weren't very good eggs. But so this scene here with the bunnycorn, when she hands him the carcass, you could see that the creature does have like a unicorn horn on its head. And so this is a little tidbit I got from one of Michael Chabon's Instagram stories. Somebody asked him point blank, was the bunnycorn a tribute to the quote unquote alien creature in the original series, which was basically just a dog with a unicorn horn attached to its head and some crazy looking fur coat, and then now it's an alien. And he said that's exactly what it was. It was a tribute. So
that's amazing. I love it.
It's incredible. If you want to watch that episode, it's the original series, season 1, episode 6, The Enemy Within. And it is a classic, 1960s Star Trek thing. They had no money, and so they just took a dog, gave it some extra fur, and stuck a horn on its head and called it an alien. It's clearly a dog, everybody. It is clearly a regular Earth dog. So, and then Soji, she's showering with like real water. This is not like a sonic shower. She's showering, and Kestra is asking her all these questions. Can you play the violin? Do you like Sherlock Holmes? Can you jump high? Can you jump way up? Can you bend steel? And then she starts asking her like, do you have mucus? Do you have tears? Do you sweat?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sonic showers? Is that how I'd never really paid. They take sonic showers?
They do. Well, when you're on a starship, they don't use water showers. They use sonic showers.
I don't guess I ever noticed that.
Yeah, they don't use, so it's like, it's odd to me to see, not odd because, they're still living on the planet as water or whatever. So they're taking like real water showers. They're not taking sonic showers. But you really see how like, Riker and Troy are like really living off the land. Like they're kind of
roughing it.
They are roughing it with shields and sensors and like
real
perimeter
food.
Whatever. And I'm sure there's a replicator somewhere in that house. Like in case you burn the pizza, you could just replicate some Chinese food or whatever, right? Like that way. Oh man. So then Troy tells, Picard that, he should probably take a nap because he's exhausted. She takes him up to her son Thad's room. And we find out, as you mentioned, Steve, that there's a lot of sadness in this episode. This is one of the tragedies that has fallen on Troy and Riker. Their older son, Thad, he had a disease, which we'll learn more about later on. And he died quite young from it. And she said last week would have been his 18th birthday.
Does that timeline work out, by the way?
I think it does. Because I think this is meant to take place 20 years after Nemesis.
Okay.
And they got married in Nemesis. Well, you would know. You were on that episode, Steve.
I was.
You were
I
on
love
that
Nemesis. I'm a Nemesis apologist.
That's
I was
totally
about to
fine.
say that.
I'm glad you were on that episode because I like having we enjoy having the different points of view on that. But they got married in Nemesis, and then of course they went right away. They went to Riker's assignment as captain on the Titan, and so so this scene is quite sad because she says how this would have been his 18th birthday, and she says every day Kestra aches a little less for him. And Picard says, well, that's a different kind of ache for you. And it really struck me as like, oh man, the younger sister, of course she misses her older brother, but that ache will change and maybe even dull as time goes on. But for Deanna, it's like a double pain because she's lost her son, and then she sees how her daughter is naturally moving away from that pain. And so, it was this scene really struck me as how sad it was. And then she right away changes the subject. She doesn't want to talk about it. And she's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you came. And, And she says, yes, you can stay as long as you like. And she's like, but